Greetings and salutations, race fans, motorsport lovers, and others. You know who you are, and welcome to thank you, Gennaro, episode 93 of Waved Yellow from the Higher Ground. We've got a packed show tonight. Gennaro Bonafede, the giraffe, is with us. It's going to be, we've got some Dakar news. We're going to talk GT3 racing car stuff. We're going to talk about the Emerald Speedfest, Gary. I've got to get it right.
Yes.
And then Kyalami Festival of Motoring.
Correct.
And we're going to talk about rally. We're going to talk about racing. We're going to talk about lacquer stuff. Gennaro, Gary, how's it?
Gennaro, it's nice of you to join us again.
How's your sound there going, Gary?
It's
So you found the mute button?
Yes, sir.
I don't have a mute button. Gennaro Bonafede, the world's fastest DJ. Thank you for joining us again.
Pleasure.
You can put your phone there, it's
all
fine,
good. All good.
and lacquer. And if you want to answer it, we know that you're an international man of business and stuff, being at BMW and a GT3. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Good to be back again.
And we're going to talk about your escapade at the 18 hours of Spa, which it was because it was wet.
Exactly. No, crazy conditions. So we'll talk about that now.
And Gary, but first of all, I've got to talk about my new NASCAR hero, Matt De Benedetto. They call him Guido. He runs in a Toyota in a private team for the Levine Racing thing. And during the week, he finished second at Bristol. Denny Hamlin, some call him Dimmy, won his fourth race, so he's part of the big three, the new big three in NASCAR. But Matt De Benedetto, he loses his drive in the week coming up to the race. Of course, the NASCAR fans go ape and they blame Levine. What a big guy. He turns around and he says that Levine is making the best move for the team, and then he goes and he leads the race. And it was unbelievable. Now, 95.32% of people can't pronounce his name, but I've watched Matt De Benedetto for a while. He's along with Kevin Harvick, who broke the bloody clutch in his fraud. Wasn't so lacquer. So anyway, Matty, Guido, we love you. We're watching carefully. What else happened, Gary? There was some ADAC, and Kelvin increased his lead. They're 40 points ahead now.
The boys are having a magic run, eh?
It's huge.
I'll tell you what, he is, Kelvin, let's not forget this. He's an ADAC champion already, and he and Patrick Niederhauser, they both finished third, increased their lead. I think it's unbelievable. So there's two races left, Hockenheim and Sachsenring. How do you pronounce that?
Sachsenring.
Because you're German, half.
I'm not German at all. But I'm
You sprachen Sie Deutsch, ja?
Ein bisschen, yeah.
We're going to get there because Gennaro is BMW. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. What else happened, Gary? First of all, to Ian Pepper. Ian, you're a character of note. You are, without you, motorsport in South Africa, without a doubt, would be worse. We did mention your daughter Tasman's unbelievable performance in the first year of W Series. I was a skeptic. I'm converted. I think W Series is a damn good thing. She finished 10th. She won $40,000. Gary, the question I've got for you is, what was the commission that Ian took? All of it?
I wonder how many races or how many years he's going to make a race to pay back for the investment
No.
put in.
93 years, because Ian has put blood, sweat, and tears into. But how cool is it that?
No, it's amazing. I actually went to the W Series race, which is DTM weekend, the weekend before Spa, so in Essen, and I went.
As one does.
Yeah, I mean, while I was in Europe, I thought may as well. Drove 200 k's up the road to Essen. It's an amazing series. It's very well supported. I think it's the best thing that I think a lot of motorsport people would want, and it's phenomenal. And those ladies can go, eh? Those ladies.
And the level of professionalism in the series, I think, is pretty cool. Where it isn't they just bring a whole lot of chicks and get them to drive. They they're educating, training, and putting them on a path to become proper professional racing drivers.
Yeah, so I mean, I think their rotation is very good. So each driver's with a different engineer. I think it's every race or every 2 races. They have sim work. I mean, chatting to Tasman, she was busy the whole day. She said, "No, I've just finished the race. Now I've got to go and do an hour of simulator work in the truck." So they've got a proper simulator rig that all the ladies do their work on. It's just phenomenal. They have an insane hospitality as well, which is like really cool to see.
Good food.
Good food, and it's just really, really good. I think it's really what the motorsport industry needs.
One of the cool things is they swap cars for each race, but if you crash, you get your repaired car back for the next one. So there's a bit of an incentive for you not to crash too badly. Gary, that
Colin.
is about what happened. Oh, do you know what did happen? We were very good last week. Our sources we know are reliable, and before we open our mouths are fantastic. So last week we predicted that Fred and Fernando Alonso would be testing in Namibia.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
earlier this week, the rest of the pundits are running with the story. So the bottom line of it is we'd planned, and no, it's not a coincidence. Our production department had planned another waved yellow outside broadcast to the Harrismith off-road race, but now I've got to learn my Spanish again, so we can go and talk
And
to.
you've only got a couple of weeks to do that in.
Hola,
Hola, señor.
¿qué?
¿Qué?
Well, that's all you need in Spanish. So,
Do you speak in Spanish? No.
Not at all. Not at all.
but German.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Paella is the only Spanish word I know.
I was about to say paella is not German.
No, it's not German. It's Spanish for sure.
Anyway, so the Harrismith off-road event, it's actually they're going to be a non-competitive car, so they're not going to score points. But I tell you what, that Spaniard is competitive in any bloody thing that he
As we
rides.
normally say, guys, watch this. We're going to be
Yeah.
there. We'll bring you some
It's
stuff.
good. Navigator will be.
Mark Comer.
Correct.
Now, Mark Comer, who's driven the
Anything
world
and
on
everything.
motorbikes, was the sporting director of Dakar, who understands dunes like you can't believe. They're training in Southwest. You've got to kind of look at this and see, here's a multiple world champion, a WEC champion, Formula One champion,
Okay, 24 hours champion.
and now he's decided,
Sorry.
I want to have a go at Dakar, and he's prepared to learn. Janelle will teach him proper, because Janelle is very, very special. You know, there's, and he's on a learning curve. Great, eh?
Yeah, I think it's amazing, and it just shows you what. I mean, do you blame Fernando? He's done everything he possibly can. I mean, obviously Indy was on his list, but why not? You know, it's challenging for him. It's a new realm. He has to learn all over again, and I think for a racing driver, that's something you can't actually buy.
It's the wildest thing that you can do. Go and take a bucky, go from a wet car, huge downforce and smooth and into a frickin'. Apparently, we're not allowed to call them buckies. We have to call them cross-country racing vehicles. They are racing buckies. They are lacquer. They're built in Joburg. They are fully South African.
One thing here. Apparently, I've heard that Fernando Alonso, every single car that he races, he keeps. So I've heard that through his career, Formula One cars, the Toyota World Endurance Championship car, he's got. So I don't know if Glenn Hall's put into his budget or put into anything that he needs to now give him that Hilux after he's done it. I don't know, but that might be a contentious issue.
My version of it is Michelle would have put it into her budget, not on the expense side, but on the income side. Fred, you can have the car, but okay, bring the euro.
Fred!
Anyway, so young man,
Yes.
you go to Belgium, just close to Dad's house, and you go and you test a BMW, and you come away from Spa. You got a smile on your face. We were talking earlier. That was a lifetime experience. Your first international GD3 race. What was the just thoughts immediately?
It's unbelievable. For me, it's Colin, it was always a bucket list topic, and it was everything and more that I expected. To be honest, it was just everything that's involved in that whole race, the whole series, the car, the team, the organisers, the track, the conditions, the fans, the attention to detail was absolutely. I have no words, to be honest. It ticked more boxes than I could have even drawn.
In January, or it might have been February, we saw you and Matthew Hodges at Kyalami, and you were still bleak about the end of GDC. Then you would. This was a dream then. Now it's reality, and you're talking about going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I could never have, beginning of the year, if you told me I would have raced at Spa 24 in July, I would have said, or maybe on PlayStation. But to actually have been there and done this, and now talking the next steps with, about my career and my racing, it's just unbelievable. So everything happens for a reason, and maybe what happened earlier this year was actually a bit of a blessing, because it forces you to look elsewhere, to try different things. And as South Africans, I think we always push the boundaries and try and make happen with whatever we have.
But it takes a huge amount of belief and guts and, dare I say, balls to have that dream and then to go and live that dream.
Yeah, I mean, it's always risky, When I first started the process, I thought, let's see what we can do overseas. Maybe we can race some GT4, do some VLN races at the Nürburgring and in a small BMW or something. But when everything panned out, I thought, jeepers, I'm throwing myself into the deep end. Not only is it my first race in a GT3 car and first real laps in a GT3 car, but it's actually at Spa 24. I mean,
it doesn't really get bigger than that.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it could have been different if it was a national championship in Italy, or in America, something regional in a GT3 car. It could have been one of those, but it was literally the cream of the crop, and that for me was daunting initially. But the nerves and the excitement turns into, okay, we need to deliver.
And you've got a job to do, and it's quite a serious job. And you were driving for the Boutsen Gunan team, and for those of you who remember, Terry Boutsen, his wife owns
his sister, yeah.
Sister. I mean, hey, detailed.
Yeah, exactly.
You end up with a proper BMW that ended up being not that slow. Was it the car or the driver? Because during your times in the car, you were pretty bloody quick.
I mean, it's funny. When we entered test days, I thought, okay, there's still a bit of work to do for sure, and every lap I would have improved basically on the conditions. But I had my first, real stint, and we were there. I mean, the pace was surprisingly there. I was only 0.4 off the Schnitzer car at the same time, which is the pro BMW team with Farfus, Tomczyk, and John Edwards.
Sorry, just like the top of GT3 drivers in the world.
Yeah, and at the time, I was faster than the other pro car at Volcanost. So it was so surprising. I mean, yes, there's experience. I mean, maybe that first stint I didn't quite manage the new tires, but it was my first ever stint in a GT3 car.
And you got to give it stick.
I thought, I didn't know where this was. So I think the pro drivers and the guys who experienced know that the first 5 laps of a stint with a full load of fuel and brand new tires, you have to be very cautious on how you treat those tires, because it has to last a 25 lap stint.
One back a bit. When you say cautious, what does that mean? I mean, there are many guys who don't drive GT3 cars who watch us. I mean, we've got a global audience of, Gary, what's it now, 623 million people. And when you say cautious, what does that translate into as a driver on the braking and acceleration part?
So I think the key thing is, obviously, with brand new tires, is they come out of a heating tower already preheated, the rim and the tires already at, I think, 65, 70 degrees. So they are sticky as they go on the car. But out the pits, your first lap, you stay away from curbs. The Pirelli tire that we use had a very, very strong sidewall, but a very soft compound. So if you went on a curb wrong, it could cut the car and you could have a puncture straight away. So that first lap is very key to warm the tires up longitudinally, not laterally. So that was a big thing that I learned from the
and longitudinally is the acceleration and the braking part of it. But you're not also warming up the tyre. You've come out of your motorhome, you've done a bit of batik and bouncing balls and all that stuff. You've got your hand eye, but you've also got to warm up the driver.
I mean, you don't actually have time to warm up. So I say warm up the car. As soon as you go out that pit and you press the PSL button off, you flat out.
PSL is pit speed limit.
Sorry. You're not just backing off saying, oh, it's nice and easy, or, I'm going to take it easy and go on 80% lap. Out the pits, that first section, the sector must be within half a second of your fastest. But you just need to be cautious on your throttle application and not to wash laterally the car. But you can't just warm up the tires. You go out the pits and you in racing conditions.
Pin it, brother.
You have to pin it. You have to be on it. So that's a big thing. And those first 5 laps are critical because the tire is at its best, and the temptation is to go for a lap time. Even though you've got a full load of fuel, the temptation is to drive the car at that speed, because in general in South Africa you put new tires on, you're in qualifying, so you want to get the best out of the tires, but you have to manage them. It's a 25 lap stint.
So that's quite a big difference from your stint is about an hour, just under an hour, and your races in South Africa, the sprint races that you've been used to, are 25 odd minutes.
Yeah.
It's a different ballgame.
Completely different. I mean, obviously it's a 24-hour race. It's an endurance race. You have to treat the car properly. There's mechanical sympathy that you have to have. You have to do all these things. But in saying that, these races have become like 24-hour sprint races, because
A whole lot of 1 hour sprint races. Each stint you do is absolutely pinned.
100%. And we saw that with the other guys. When you get in the car, you have to be on it. Your lap time has to be consistent. It has to be within a certain delta. It really, really has to work. So it's become about that, and it was really interesting.
Tell us about the car. I mean, they are multi-million rand developments of, and welcome to our global audience. We do have a live studio here tonight. Got a very special guest right at the end of the show. We'll talk about that later. Episode 93 of Waved Yellow from the Higher Ground. Thank you, Mark, and your team for all the work that you put into us and building this fantastic outdoor facility, the studio that we've got. We really appreciate the effort that you've gone into, Mark. Gary.
Evan Hutchins is calling you Gennaro Bonafede.
First time I've heard that.
Okay.
Thanks, Ev.
And just from me, one question. So you went over, you ticked your bucket list.
Yeah.
Surely there has to be another bucket list besides what you're working on. There has to be a bigger bucket list than what you're working on.
It's a tough one, Gary. For sure the next bucket list would be to do a full season. For me, it's
of GD3. And have you looked at ADAC or Intercontinental GD3? Or there are many. There's about 8 different series through the world.
Yeah, no, look, GD3 is a massive, massive category around the world, and what the SRO have done with the series is incredible. So obviously for me, that's the next best thing, is to be in a full season, but step by step. We've got a couple more opportunities maybe this year, so we'll see how that goes.
Before we talk about later this year,
just
the
before
world's greatest briar has just
everybody
joined
out
us.
Everybody out there is wanting to know what I'm doing. Like a whole lot of guests have just arrived, and I've just indicated them, please sit at our table so they can actually look across the camera at us. And
one of the other things, Gary, Gennaro, you ride bicycles, don't you?
Sometimes.
And you've got a Scott, haven't you? Because Scott bicycles, Dave, are absolutely magnificent. We've got just Scotters in the house. If you're looking for a bicycle, just, Gary, as an aside, because we know many things about many things.
I can push an invoice now if you want me to.
No. There's other ways of doing it. Cycle Lab are having they've got, to feed a beast, it takes cash. So you've got to roll the cash. So once a year, coming up to 94.7, the world championship of amateur riding, Andrew McLean and the team from Cycle Lab, they used to call them blowout sales. I don't know what the hell they're calling it now, but basically stupid deals. Go down to Cycle Lab. They've got unbelievable deals. Go and ask them for a Scott bike with, there's a new SRAM. It's all Bluetooth and gears and stuff like that, because Scott bikes are actually quite lekker.
Quick one.
Dave, did that work for you?
I hope so. Otherwise, I don't know who's buying it.
Okay, listen, Paul Hill just came online, and I know the relationship with you and Paul Hill. Thumbs and a party cap and all that. He says that's for the next drive, and then we got all sorts of other people. Vito Bonafede.
My dad is on Facebook.
I can't believe
My dad is on Facebook.
Facebook, they say, is for old people, but Jesus, Vito is like old.
I know. At least Belgium's got to him, maybe. And I know my mom's probably watching as well, so the whole family's
When
involved.
Vito bothered to dial in.
At least.
Vito.
Hello, Vito. And he says, Dad joined, surprised to hear the young man again.
Oh, goodness.
Why? We this is a show for international race drivers. We were talking about the car.
Yes. Let's go back there.
You've driven some cool. I nearly said that word, Gary. You've driven some cool stuff here.
Yeah.
Now you get into a proper GD3. What were the things, your immediate impressions that came out of the car that? Yeah. What is it like?
Look, obviously, first time driving the car, it's not exactly the power that gets to you because it's got 550 horsepower. It's a lot, but it's got all the mechanical grip that you need. But for me, the biggest thing was actually the downforce. A lot of people don't realize that not like a Formula car, but as a GT3 car, the downforce is actually it's substantial. I mean, it's got over 1,000 kilograms of downforce at 200 k's an hour. So that tells you that the car, you need to trust the downforce. The front's got a massive big diffuser that pushes air under the car. The rear diffuser's big. The wing is massive as well. So that's what really surprised me. And of course, with downforce, you have to trust it. The faster you go, the better, for sure. It's ballsy, but that's at the end of the story what it's all about. So all the fast stuff at Spa, you had to just trust the car.
And how did you build that trust up? And did you look at the data and say, well, somebody else can go through this corner that fast, therefore you can go faster? Or did you follow somebody, or is it just like a gut thing that you work from your bum? Because those sensors that sit on your bum, your feet and your fingertips, that's what racing's about.
So I think the first time I went, obviously caution, just to get used to the car, learn the track. I'd never been around Spa, never driven the car before.
But you did some sim work, didn't you?
Yeah, I did some sim work for sure, but it's different when you're there, and the G-forces are always different from a sim. But thankfully we had Philip Eng there on the test day, so DTM factory driver, Sheldon's teammate. And I think what was nice is that I'd done some running on the first test day, so I had a kind of a basic understanding of the car and the track at that point. And then when he came along, obviously as a reference driver, you have all the data. So that was nice because I could see...
He didn't like it when he was the reference driver for Sheldon, did he?
No, he didn't even... He actually told me about it. He was bleak about that. He was super bleak about that.
For those of you who don't remember, when Sheldon went for his test, Eng goes out and he sets a reference time. Now, mostly, no driver in a test gets close to the reference time, but Sheldon drilled him.
Yeah. Talking about Sheldon, he's just popped on button lines. So
Shelley must be bored in Germany there. The two boys are in Japan.
Just a quick one from me. Have a good one this weekend. Make us proud.
And he's a proper oak there, and he's like still 16. I mean, unbelievable.
So for me, having Philip there was amazing because as drivers, you look at with the engineers, you look at the data, and already I could see straight away through Eau Rouge, Pouan, and Blanchimont, the three fast corners, there was a lot of my time.
Which was your favourite corner there? You haven't made up your mind, have you?
I mean, obviously Eau Rouge is amazing. It's unreal. It's iconic. But for me, the actual complex of corners, Lecum, which is the right, left, right after the long straight.
End of Kimmel Straight.
That was technical because it's three joined corners. And for me, it's not about the latest braking or the first right. It's about the whole sequence.
And it's an exit speed coming out of the last one into that downhill right.
Look, Spa, 18 corners is unreal. Every single corner is special.
Pick one, Gary. We'll get there. Well, Gary.
Sorry, just a quick one. Paul Hill just popped up, and Paul Hill asked Gennaro where he's going next. I can't tell. I promise not to say. Now, I know you probably answered it, but...
So, we were talking about
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
and Mark Comer.
That's one of these things when you laugh, these people just...
Gary, we were talking about Fernando Alonso and Mark Comer. They come from where?
Espanol.
So, are you learning Spanish? I mean, Spanish seems to be a cool language.
What are we talking about here, Colin?
I don't know. Where are you going next, Gennaro?
So look, obviously, I mean, nothing's been decided yet, and it's not done at all. But we're obviously looking to see what's next. And in the Blancpain series, the endurance championship, the next round is Barcelona in Catalonia, the 3 hours of Catalonia at the end of September. So we are obviously in discussions. Nothing's done yet, but it would be really good to go there. I think the team, I really gelled with the team. The team was a fantastic bounce board for me, and I think it was really good to know them and get to know them over 24 hours, the whole week. So let's see. Hopefully we get that right for the end of September at Catalonia. And then from there, who knows?
It wasn't only the Butz and Gunon team that got to know you, shall we put it that way. During some of the sessions, BMW guys came to say, who's this? Where's this? What the hell is going on here? And you opened a few eyes, didn't you?
I think so. I mean, it's difficult to say, because with 250 drivers in the lineup, I mean, there's 150 pro drivers, more probably 170 pro drivers. So to make a mark there is not easy. But I think after my first stint in the race, I think the lap time that I did and potentially whatever the case was, we had the BMW Motorsport guys come to the pits after my stint and said, oh, how was the stint? What happened? The pace looked good. And so I had a bit of a chat to them. Obviously, I know them through work as well. So hopefully that maybe opened doors. But, motorsport's a funny thing. It's a very fickle industry. Things change overnight, and you can't take anything for granted. So for me, obviously, it was good to go there and do my thing. But who knows what's happening next? It's all about the teams and the connections you make.
I think motorsport is pretty much like surfing, because they're waves, and a good surfer will check out a wave, catch the wave, ride it stuckant, turn around and go and catch the next one.
That's actually prolific of you. I'm actually very impressed. That was serious, Colin, and you're 100% right, because it's all about the wave, and when each wave comes, you decide whether you take it or not, and when you take it, how you perform on that wave is what counts. And
even if it's a cock wave, you ride it broken.
Ride it as much as you can, and at the end of the session, you look at your points after each wave, and that's what it comes down to. Colin, that's actually quite impressive.
It's deep, eh?
I'm impressed.
This is not just a fun show, Gennaro. I've got some notes here that our production department put forward, but Gary, the audience is going wild. If you've got any questions, queries, comments, things you want the giraffe to answer, let us know.
Okay, Gary Morris, Simon Morris says, ask Gennaro, how fast does he do corners at plus or minus? I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, so basically how fast is the track? So just to give you an indication, Eau Rouge, before the bottom of Eau Rouge, we were doing 248. Mid corner through there was 235. So through the whole corner, it's a little bit of a lift in race conditions. Qualifying, it's flat, just.
You don't know much about qualifying, do you?
No, I don't. I didn't manage to do qualifying.
But, okay, sorry, carry on with this thing and we'll go back there.
So then that was the fast stuff. Blanchimont is flat at 255, 256. Pouon is about 210 mid-corner, a bit less than that. So it's fast, especially with the downforce. It really helps. Obviously, slowest corner was probably the bus stop and La Source, which is the first corner, the hairpin. It's about 65. 60.
And what's the cuckest corner on that whole track for you?
How much?
The worst corner.
Oh.
That's what I said, Gary. Gary, anybody know anyone at Phonak? Because Gary's got problems with his ears. He doesn't hear what I say.
I'm sure
said, what's the worst corner?
No,
I didn't.
The worst corner at Spa is probably the one into the pit lane. That's the one, the corner in the pit lane, because your stint's done. So that's definitely the worst.
Now, our production department put here, one of your loves is music.
Yes.
You, the world's fastest DJ. You will always be. The notes they put down here is
just while you're reading notes. Just a quick one. Somebody online has asked me. You can't look at this because he asked me not to say anything.
Yeah.
He says, but ask Gennaro what it's like going out for the first time. By the way, he said he felt like he was a rookie.
Yeah. So the Tuesday test session, first time at Spa in the car. I went out the pits, and obviously you've done simulator work and you've been here before. But at that time, I felt like an absolute mug. I mean, had to learn the track in car, and there's pro drivers coming past you, and my first laps were probably 15 seconds off the pace, and then obviously gradually got better. But my first probably half an hour stint in practice, I felt like an absolute rookie.
And of course, you don't want to chuck the car into a barrier, unlike your teammate in qualifying. I mean, that must have been one of the worstest moments in the history of the world from your point of view. We saw it when we turned on the streaming and see this black Butsen Gunon BMW spread across probably about 193 meters of Belgian countryside.
Yeah, that was obviously not ideal, and that's the thing about endurance racing. You got 4 drivers in the car at Spa, 3 or 4, and it's up to the team and how we bounce back from that. But I'll never forget it. I was obviously in the motorhome, getting ready, putting on my stuff, saying.
And you were waiting for qualifying, because this is in your mind. All racing drivers think they're the fastest than faster. And you, in your mind, you wanting to go out and you want to measure yourself because you're quick. and that didn't happen.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously qualifying was kind of for me a target because it's every man for himself. Obviously, you have your own session in the car, and I was planned to go out in Q4, which is when the fuels are lowest, and obviously we have new shoes on, and that's when most of the pro guys, the fastest of the pro guys, go out in Q4.
That's real, hey?
So I thought, let me, I put myself in the deep end here again and see how we stacked up, but unfortunately that didn't happen. It's one of those things, it's the way it is. We started from the back of the grid because of it, and
But you got to pass people.
yes, indeed. You can only go forward from the back.
Fast forward, we can go through 18 hours of racing because, Gary, the only thing that marches on is time.
That is true.
And we've got a full show. There's a whole bunch more that we've got to talk about. Emerald Speed Festival.
A quick one while you're going
motorbikes.
through all of that. Just Paul,
Gary's
Paul-
always got
Paul
quick
Hill
one.
again.
As the actress said to the
Yeah.
bishop, a quick one.
Paul Hill again says Gary can't hear and Colin can't walk backwards.
That's true.
Okay, but Gennaro needs serious practice, a lot, in my simulator. Now, I don't know if he's actually got a simulator or he's talking about one of the two cars for you to go and play in.
No. Paul's has got a phenomenal simulator at home, and he's invited me a few times to go and do some laps there. So thanks, Paul. I'll definitely take you up on that one.
You know what would be cool is if he let you drive his Aston Martin. That would be very cool as well. But being a BMW person, it would be somewhat of a problem, yeah?
No, I mean, obviously, BMW, it's my employer, but they don't pay me to race. So it's I need to be respectful, but within reason, I guess.
So the notes they prepared for me
Do you know where you are in those notes?
I do.
Because you're still looking at the left page.
No. I want to know. As the world's fastest DJ, do you align yourself closerest with Tiesto, Martin Garrix, Hardwell, David Guetta, Armin van Buuren? Who are you? You the South African version of which one?
I don't even know. Colin,
Come on, say Hardwell.
what kind of question is that? Okay, Hardwell.
No, well, come on. This is a family show, and
Okay, do you mean a line from my the racing thing or from my music? Come on.
I said music. DJ Gennaro. Look in the house, brother. Spin the disc.
To be honest, probably Black Coffee. I think that his style of music is right up my alley, and as being South African guy, he's making waves all across the world. So for me, that would be the number one choice. You know who that is, right? Black Coffee.
I've heard.
Okay.
Is that like espresso? We can talk for hours.
I can't help him. You know that. I can't help him.
I think I finally met my match about who can talk more than me. And that's Giraffe, the world's fastest DJ, international GT3 racer of note. You're going to be at Kyalami, hopefully in a drive after Espanol and the other places.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, we're working on the Kyalami 9-hour deal, obviously. It's not easy because obviously all the Intercontinental GD Championship cars come from the whole series, so they're all factory teams, basically. So I think there's 30 or so committed factory teams that are coming with pro drivers all lined up. Besides the national class guys that will enter, we're trying to bring another car in with one of the BMW teams. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, it all depends on budget and all those other things. So we're trying to really work on it. I think it'll be a good opportunity for us to really showcase, what we can do.
Talking about showcase, this is not just another little race in South Africa. I think that many brains are going to be blown when they see the level of professionalism. This is the big show.
That's what I keep on thinking. You go to European motorsport industry and you see what it's all about. It's an industry over there. I mean, we had 9 mechanics and 4 engineers on our one car, over the 24-hour race. I mean, that's excluding the guys who drive the truck, the guys who clean the pits,
and excluding the dedicated admin person
and the doctors. We had 2 doctors, dietitians.
Did you have a nurse?
No, not a nurse. No.
Did the doctor dress up like a nurse?
No, he was an osteopath. A nice guy, and he specializes in motorsport osteopath, which is, we don't even have osteopaths in South Africa.
He's a bone guy, eh?
Yeah, so basically it's an alternative medicine guy that looks at your body, looks at your bones, looks at your mental, looks at everything. So it's phenomenal. And these guys specialize in motorsport.
When he looked at you mentally, what did he find?
Not a problem.
So
that's the 9-hour. I think, a lot of people
Should we just hold the microphone here? Chill
Chill out, let him go.
Back to the 9 hour. Back to the 9 hour. I think, people think it's going to be another race at Kyalami that we've seen before. Let me tell you, it's going to be like nothing people have seen in South Africa for many, many, many years. The SRO bring an incredible show to each racetrack, and I mean the teams will be here already the week before preparing, doing their thing. Access won't be easy. People expect to be able to walk down into the paddock, walk through the pits, go down pit lane. Sorry, unless you have a full suit, racing suit on with a bib with an accreditation, you're not going to be going anywhere near the pit lane. So that's the reality. It's tough, I think.
And to get into the pit area, you've got to have all the right. What do you call them? Accreditation and stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing, people are going to, and I think it'll be frustrating for some local motorsport fans because prior to this, obviously access is fully granted to anybody in South African motorsport, so it'll be normal, but people need to understand that this is a real thing, I think that anywhere around the world we can be proud of what's going to happen at the 9 hour.
I'm really, really looking
Before
forward
we go
to
to
it.
the next question, Evan Hansenson asks, if you could, which other local drivers would you choose to drive with if you had a team?
I just put him on the spot. Hutchinson, where are you?
That's a tough one, eh? I think definitely Michael Steven as one. For sure, we've shared a rivalry, and he's proven that in fact he can drive anything.
How many championships have you beaten him in?
None. How
I
many times have
don't-
you beaten me in? 7.
We had to, if it was easy, people think that we just blow smoke up your ass when you come here, but we've got to give you a bit of a hard time because you know what?
Standard.
That's life. If you can't handle it, Gary, did you bring the supply of cement pulls?
I did.
Because we can give him one, you can harden the hell up.
No, I know what it's
But you are hard.
I'll try my best.
You're actually, I have immense respect for you. I admire your balls and determination to go out and live the dream. There are many, many people who sit behind a keyboard and get off your ass, have a dream, and go and live it. There's another oak that we're going to talk to a little bit later who's got a bigger a dream than even as a ginger. I mean, my dream as a ginger would be maybe not to be a ginger.
I'm pretty sure if Gennaro was the same age, Gennaro's dreams would be just as big.
But
But unfortunately, Gennaro's
A little bit older now.
He's a wee bit older, and he's got to look at the reality of the real dreams instead of.
because now
the young
having
dream.
done Spa, your next one is Nürburgring, and then of course Le Mans.
Yeah, that's a big stretch. I mean, Nürburgring, you can drive it in an Opel Corsa if you really want to. And obviously not ideal. But
Frickin' GT3.
Yeah, so for sure that would be that thing. Le Mans, I don't know, it's funny, you go over to Europe and you see what people talk about Le Mans and the organizers and what's really going on there, and it's very different from what we think. I think Le Mans need to really sort themselves out. To be frank, the last few years it's been a bit touchy with Le Mans.
Yeah, they need SRO to go and organise the BOP and all the rest of it. I mean, after they gave Ford that win, they basically just said, bring what you bring, and we're not going to penalise you. And they just gave it to them. It was a... Maybe I shouldn't go there, Gary.
Don't go there.
Is
Don't
there...
go.
apparently there's something called a filter
No,
that's supposed to work?
You don't have one.
Thank
Yeah,
you. That's the
we
best
know
thing.
you don't have
your
one.
notes.
Yeah,
Back
stick
to
to
my
your
notes.
notes.
All right.
All right.
Guys.
Colin, do you know?
guest's going to be until midnight.
No, well, but he's young enough. He'll only be... Oh, Gary, this thing is not working. But you need my... Where are... You're not going to the Emerald...
No. To the, the
Speed
Emerald
Festival.
Speed Festival, yeah.
I might
But with
be
that standard BMW that you had, I mean, that was a competizione. How do you pronounce that exhaust pipe name?
a Kropovic.
Kropovic. That's like, it's not German, is it?
I think it's Serbian or something.
So one of the colonies that Adolf went in there and bombed the shit out of and then took over it. I mean, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Porsche
True story.
or BMW because they made the engines that powered the bombers. But we won't go there. Don't talk about the war. David, it's your fault. How did we get there?
Okay.
Gary, butterflies. Right,
Festival.
Emerald Speed Festival. It's going to be unreal. Okay, so there was a hill climb at Samola. And Gary, do you know what the difference between a time attack?
And a hill club.
Yeah.
The one is up a hill.
Gary, Nothing gets past you. That's why I love the fact that you read your show notes. And the other one is longer, and this one is a mile. So for those of you who like maths and science, we know that, English is good, but maths is better. And so you need an 8 and a 5. Those are the two numbers you need to go from metric to imperial. So 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. So work out the 8 and a 5 and tell us what it is. And it's going to be the master of the mile. And there are a couple of hooligans who are going to be there. And I had a great chat with Wicked Willie Wilhelm Bart, who had an absolute nightmare with his, what do you call that thing? It's Godzilla. Godzilla the Great.
Yeah, he's Godzilla.
It's a Nissan GT,
the other one is the
what thing. And the electronics wasn't electronicking. And the pistons, luckily, they were working.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you going to call that one? The pistons weren't
The pistons
working.
were working. Anyway, Willie had a disaster. They've done a whole lot of work and development on sorting out the reliability. So hopefully we won't have an interview with him lying down in the pit lane. So Willie's got that
Probably
car.
one of your better interviews.
It was absolutely magnificent.
We saw in the pit lane.
Yeah, we saw Willie lying down, running through the track. Because the thing about a time attack, you go to Spa, you drive around, and you build up a lap. So time attack, you've got 1.6 kilometers, which, Gary, even you could walk that far. It's not that far, but you've got to go from nothing to
max.
Yeah. It's lekker.
You can't go round and around and
you
around.
stand next to those cars and they do their banging and all
Popping
of that on launch control. It is so lekker. And I was updated recently on some of the things on the launch control, and what they do is they change the spark and the fueling. So when the valves are open, you have a spark and there's a semi-controlled explosion in the exhaust manifold and piston. An explosion is a rapid expanding of gas which bangs up the speed of the turbo, and that's why they sit there going ba 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 ba, and the turbo is sitting up there. There's max boost, drop the clutch and go forever. So that's Wicked Willie Bart.
Just while you're on there,
Skyline.
Sheldon decided to ask a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Gennaro, where is Leffie Blonde?
Okay, so Leffe Blonde, just to clear things up, it's got nothing to do with females and males.
What is Leffie Blonde in English?
Have I pronounced it correctly?
Leffe Blonde is basically a Belgian beer. And, so it's a funny joke between myself, Calvin, Sheldon, and Jordan. That whenever we get together and we're not like together, we have to have a little Leffe Blonde just to, settle the missings and stuff. So
is it like a little bit stark?
Yeah, no, it's Belgian beer is real. So Leffe Blonde we had a couple of those after the race.
Because Kelvin's now got Shatsi in the pits in Japan.
Maybe he's going to introduce her to us when he comes to the 9 hour.
And Shatsi in Nogaro Blue. So there's the Germans with the Japanese. Unbelievable. Right, there's other cars in the Emerald Speedfest. Silvio Scribante, Franco Scribanti in the Kraken. That thing has just got downforce for days. It's only got the bodywork of a Nissan and some other stuff. Yeah. All of it is virtually not original.
Yeah. Just by the way, talking about that, you've arranged to do a thing with the Kraken before we get to Emerald Casino.
Yeah, we're going to go and talk to the Kraken. We're going to talk to Peter Zeely, apparently, our production department, and legals. We're waiting for legal to clear it.
He's got one of the most wicked Toyota MR2s. This thing is like whistling fast.
And it's in Frost Freddy's workshop, and some say that the reliability issues have been sorted out. Now, Peter Zeely's got history with drags. So this is basically a drag race, but it's got corners. So it might be...
He didn't
or a time attack.
No, without the hill. It's a time attack.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
A time attack is a drag strip, but it's got curves in it.
Yeah. And it's 3, 2, 1, go, and then... Hopefully you don't go off. And it's brand new tar, so as the weekend progresses and the rubber gets laid down, it'll develop time.
It's what they call rubbering in, is it?
You've been reading the story of the actress and the bishop for a long time. Now, this is the notes from episode...
He's reading last week's notes.
Yeah, because down here, production put onto it. Our waved yellow outside production department. Henny Groenewald from Cape Town. I don't know if he's still the same wild Dutchman that he used to be, living in Cape Town. Because you know what happens in Cape Town. It's go, and they like chill out, brew like far. I mean,
not our fault they got off a mountain.
Yeah, well, anyway, Michael Stevens going to be magnificent in that Audi, and Michael Steven is talking about your favorite co-driver with that wicked Audi with the turbo and lots of wings and stuff and all the rest of it. Reggie Roots, we spoke about, Peter Zilli.
Yeah.
Richard Roots, apparently we're going to talk to him next week, but some say that we will. So it's the 3-2-1 bit of having the tyres coming out of the warmers, and having the brain switched on to nothingness, and to be able to hit that first corner properly without going off into the sticks is going to be absolutely magnificent. So, Gary, I hope
Gennaro manages to swing something so he can show us what he did
with that standard BMW, because there's a whole lot of classes.
Yeah.
And apparently, if I can just put my eyes on here, there's a saloon 2-door road class. Yes. That's where your
our standard M2 competition would fit into that class. Yes, correct.
So it's standard. It costs about half a bar, and then you got to put brakes on it, and that's what, 250. Then you put an Akrapovic exhaust on it, that's another 185. Then you go to take it to
BMW do not speak to us in the future. I'm not going. It wasn't me. It was you.
I love the Bayernschen Motorwagen. They worked in a Junkers. They can work in a freaking. And that car is actually very lekker, isn't it?
It's an awesome car, yeah. For $1 million, it's a entry level into M, and it's phenomenal. It's not really entry level.
An entry level into M at 1 million rand.
Yeah.
It's almost as expensive as a bicycle.
So what happens when you pay for the most powerful letter in the world? That was actually from Germany. That came straight through.
How many wars did the Germans win?
I'm not kidding.
Why are you bringing that into this?
Many, because it's the most powerful word.
Letter.
I thought it was S. S for surrender.
M.
Now you're not going there. There's a whole lot of classes at this Emerald thing. There's even a ginger class.
Okay, now listen.
You've got to go and do your own.
No, we're getting to a certain time. Yeah. But before we get there, guys, there's a lot of international stuff happening this weekend, and one of them is a double header. We got Guy Bottrell, who's going down this weekend, Friday and Saturday, to go and race in the National Rally Championships in KZN. And the moment he finishes on Saturday afternoon, he jumps on a plane, flies all the way to Zambia to go and run the Zambia National Championships, but they're in two different cars, because the one he's running in Zambia is the Toyota R4. And the one he's running over here is a standard, help me on that one, please?
In sewing machine.
That wasn't nice. But anyway, so that's what's happening. Yeah.
It just... No. It's no, those are proper. So it's an R4 over there, and it's an R. How many? Gary, I believe it's 2, because the R1
R2
car is the new Volkswagen.
That's right. Yeah.
The Vivo Cup.
Yeah.
GT Cup for next year.
So that's happening.
Mark?
Then on top of that, we got our boys on motorcycles. We got the Binder brothers, all at Silverstone in Moto 2 and Moto 3. And
do you think it's going to rain again? Because they didn't have a Grand Prix there last year.
Yeah, that's true. And also Stephen Woodendahl on the other Moto 2 car. And then we got our boys, the Familia.
Which one of those, Gary?
The Van der Lindes. One is in...
No, only one of them's racing this weekend.
Gary, focus.
And both are racing. You're 100% correct.
DTM is this weekend at Lausitzring.
Yes.
And the other one is racing Suzuka 10 hour with Jordan Pepper. Yeah. So all the boys are involved.
So Kelvin and Dries van Toor are in the number 21, which is painted in Nagara blue.
Yes.
With Nagara blue's the famous Japanese color.
Correct.
So there's how the story comes together.
Sure. That's right.
Unfrickin' real. And Pepper and Stephen Kane in the 107.
Yeah.
Jules Gounon,
No. So
fast Frenchman.
And who's the guy who stalls at the pit lane in Australia?
No, I'm not even talking about that. He pushed the wrong button. We're not even going there. Jordan still has nightmares about that, I think.
I think his surname is Anker, William Anker.
That's why he stalled in the pit lane.
He's not racing for Bentley anymore, that's for sure.
I've got to give up this to go and do what I need to do.
And then we'll have the tallerest, fasterest DJ in the world. And joining, I mean, we love Foster things.
Yes.
So you're the fastest DJ.
Yes.
And we welcome our fastest ginger.
Hello.
Stewie, why?
If I keep growing, I'll be the tallest ginger giraffe there is. I'm probably the first one as well.
You don't get ginger giraffes.
I know, but I'll be the first one because he's called a giraffe. He's not much taller than me.
No, you can be the world's fastest ginger. Stewie, thank you very much for joining us and bringing your entourage. I love the way you travel. You know, being an international driver as you are, you do have an entourage. What's the story? Next weekend, you out in Formula 4ing again?
Yeah, well, firstly, this weekend we had a motoring festival of Alfa Romeo, so you're a bit fast, so I had to take it. So we had the Alfa Romeo for the motoring festival, and then so we're doing hot laps and stuff. We did some media work with them today with all the people involved, and also confirmed today we'll also be at the Emerald Casino competing hopefully against him and the BMW. So we'll be there, and me and Bradley Scorer. So it will be.
Yeah.
It was confirmed today that we'll be doing that as well. And then next weekend is actually not F4 yet. It's first me and Craig Jarvis going to Spa Francorchamps with Sauber Engineering for the Formula 1, and then a back-to-back Budapest and Magny-Cours to follow.
So you're also going to Spa?
Yes.
Have you done your sim work on it?
Well, at least I've been there and done a lot of sim work, but this time I'm not driving, unfortunately. Hopefully in about 3 years I'll be going through a Rouge in a Formula 1 car, but that's the dream, so we can only keep on dreaming.
Stewie, if you don't have a dream, you've got nothing to reach for. And at least you've got the balls and the vision to have a dream. Because there's so many people who've got moaning and they haven't got a dream.
I really hope they can hear you in this, Colin. Sort yourself.
No, did Jaguar pay us enough? Has legal department come back from Jag?
Put it on your shirt, Colin.
On my shirt, Gary. I'll hold it.
You want
I can-
the mic back?
No. I've got Gary's mic, and now I feel like Gary. So, quick one, Stu. What are you going to be? You're supposed to tell me to focus now. What are you going to be driving at the Emerald Speed Fest?
It's still going to be all confirmed, but it sounds like the Stelvio will be there, the Jeep Track Walk will be the new one, and then we'll also have the Quattrofilo QV. So it sounds like me and Bradley will be driving 2 classes, so it's still will be confirmed if we're allowed to do all of that. So it was all talked about today, so it should be confirmed somewhere next week, but we'll definitely be there from Alfa Romeo. Me and Bradley Scorer will be representing.
And Bradley's not just a pretty cool, quick racing driver. He's also a damn fine guy. And if you're looking for an Alfa or a Fiat or something like that, hook up with Bradley at Arnold Chats. And he sorted out my brother's daughter with a Cinquecento, a boss. No, it's a Musa story. Anyway, Brad's a great guy. This weekend you at the Festival of Speed, the Westbank Festival of Speed.
Not anymore. I don't think Westbank are involved anymore.
I was told they
My
are.
bad. Apologies. We don't even do that, so yeah.
Well, then
Sorry.
why are you talking about it?
Sorry. Apologies.
No, it's okay. Just like, hold on. Your stint is finished.
Sorry.
You're supposed to be chilling and get the osteopath. We're talking to, it's Ginger's in the seat at the moment. Ginger, are you, you've got that Julia with the turbo and the go-go bits in it?
Yeah, so today I was taking the people around in a Julia QV, so actually the official pace car for the Mopa Endurance series. So I was going around in that today, so it was very nice. It's quite an experience. People loved it, so just need to keep on doing that for the rest of the weekend, impressing people and hopefully get some more sales, and that's the plan. So it's just keeping people happy until Sunday, and it's not the worst way to spend your days driving people around the track.
So here's a challenge. Gary and I apparently, we're waiting for legal to give us clearance and production to sort out transport, but we should helicopter into the Festival of Motoring this weekend. And just wondering if we can interview you while you're doing a fast lap again.
Well, it was actually spoken about today as well. As soon as the helicopter arrives, our people will be there to pick you up, to escort you straight through to the car, and then we'll go around the track. And all cameras allowed, as long as you just don't swear this time, please.
I never do, Stu. I mean, that's how we roll. We actually love it. And Stu, thanks we know that you're a busy international driver on the Formula 1 path. We need to talk to you. You've been driving with a crash helmet today.
Well, obviously.
Because you've got helmet head.
No, it was actually a bit of cap air because I had to go into PR work. So it was actually a bit of cap air because we had a few conferences today with the salespeople from Alfa Romeo, and today was all about the media and about about everybody working at Alpha. So that was the big thing for us today. And then from tomorrow on, it will be open for public. So everybody that's around, please come around and come experience the cars firsthand as well. So I think it's going to be an amazing weekend from tomorrow on.
Stewie, while you're in Joburg, we'll talk to Gennaro a little bit later, and maybe you can hook up with his hairstylist, because I tell you what, this chick does amazing work. Turns a giraffe into a beast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's that time of year that one of the important things about life and motor racing is that you can have all the skill in the world. You need luck, brakes, a dream, and some buddies. Talking about buddies, Stewie, you've got this backer buddy vibe going. To get to Formula One, it's going to take 27 gazillion rand, and even in euros, it's a lot of money. So it's a ladder, and you looking for some help from motor fans, petrol heads, race car lovers, and even the others to help build rungs on the ladder so you can keep climbing towards your goal. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so this year is actually one of the most difficult seasons, being in the French F4. It's not an international championship, but it's still FIA recognized. You can get super license points from it and stuff. But obviously the goal is to get into F3 next year. It will be much more exposable for big companies in Europe, as it's on the F1 calendar, and also it's on TV around the whole world. So the big challenge is to get through this year and secure the last bit of money that we need for this season. So we looked at a lot of different options, and Back to Buddy was definitely an option that kept coming up from recommendations. So that we set that up, and it's running quite well at this stage. So if they go on to Stuart White Racing, STUART Racing on Facebook and Instagram, all the links are there, and people can stay updated with everything through the weekend. And also going overseas, or all the updates will be up there, and also all the Back to Buddy sites.
Gary, did you see what he did there when he Stuart? Because there are many ways of spelling Stuart. So it was STUART White Racing. You've been trained properly to work with your sponsors. Anybody who actually is looking for a proper ambassador, the ginger, the ninja, the fastest ginger in the world, he will do great things for you. And he's quite a lacquer oak. And if you like Brian, he brings along his catering department. Hey. Guys, we can carry on here all night. And we just a big shout out to Mark from Higher Ground. Thank you very much for all your support. We really like it. Our production department, transport, makeup, sound department, lighting. Guys, you've been fantastic. Thank you for the good work that you do. And to you, our viewers, fans, the guys who support us, thank you so much for joining us. Gennaro and Stuart, you can interview each other. I mean, it would be fantastic. Thank you very much for taking time out of your international schedules of jet-setting race drivers and speed freaks of note. Good luck for the future. May you live your dream. Just don't limit your dream. Reach for the stars and knock it out of the park.
Thank you very much for having us tonight. So I actually interrupted his show a bit, so thank you for him for allowing it, and thank you very much.
No problem. Now, I finally got the mic, because that last little bit was awkward. I watched it on the screen. It's super awkward. I was just like one of those, like, that's going to be a meme for sure. No, thank you guys as well.
The best is we'll make the meme. So we'll pull a bit of a Lando Norris and make a meme of ourselves.
Exactly. No, thank you, Colin. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, guys. Obviously good to be here and good to keep you guys updated on what's going on. And hopefully we can be back again soon when we have more news about what's happening. And we'll see you guys soon, I think.
You guys are great value. Welcome anytime. It's been Waved Yellow, number 93, from the grounds of St. Stidians at the Higher Ground. It's a wonderful spring evening. Be lekker, be fast, and remember, don't be a dick. See you next week. Cheers.